Welcome to Unfiltered, real conversations with creators, tastemakers, movers, and shakers. I'm Kristen Hess of the Artful Gourmet podcast, and this is where we pull back the curtain on creativity, business, and the stories behind the people shaping culture today. So grab a coffee or pour a glass of wine, and let's sit down and talk. This is Unfiltered. Welcome back to Unfiltered, the interview series on the Artful Gourmet podcast, where we go beyond the polished bios and highlight reels to talk honestly with chefs, creatives, entrepreneurs, and innovators about the experiences that actually shape their lives and careers. I'm your host, Kristen Hess, founder of the Artful Gourmet blog, podcast, and YouTube channel. Today's conversation brings together two subjects that I find endlessly fascinating: food and transformation. My guest today has spent more than 5 decades in the culinary world. Chef Craig Chasky's career has taken him from his earliest days cooking with his mom and grandmother on Long Island to professional kitchens, high-profile catering, restaurant ownership, culinary education, and appearances on TV and radio. Along the way, he's cooked for some extraordinary people, from prestigious New York cultural institutions to celebrity clientele. What I really want to explore today isn't simply where Craig has cooked, it's why he cooks, because his culinary philosophy has evolved into something he calls infused cuisine, an approach that incorporates essential oils into cooking and explores the relationship between flavor, nourishment, and personal well-being. The philosophy is also at the heart of his cookbook, Recipes of Hope. So today we're going back to the beginning, from the kitchens that shaped him to the personal experiences that change his relationship with food. And we're going to unpack what infused cuisine actually means and why Craig believes food can be way more than what's just on your plate. So, Craig, welcome to Unfiltered. I'm so happy to have you here.
It's a honor to be here, Kristen. And, I'm looking at your phrase, creator, tastemaker, mover, and shaker. Not to brag, but I think I'm part of all of that. And it's been the journey of discovery and fundamentals, principles, techniques, and application that has allowed me to share what I'm able to give your audience today, which I think is going to be life changing.
Absolutely. So, I kind of wanted to start out all my podcasts talking a little bit about you, the chef, and talk a little bit about your business and get behind the food and what it's all about. So, I want you to take me back to the beginning. And like I mentioned, you said that your earliest memories of cooking, a lot of them were with your mother and grandmother on Long
Yes.
Island. So,
Yes.
with that, what did food mean in your family growing up? And when did you realize that being in the kitchen might become more than something you simply love to do?
Great question. So I remember being in the kitchen. We were lucky to have a housekeeper back then, and I live in the Georgia mountains, and we are up in Long Island, as you mentioned, and our housekeeper was from Georgia, which was ironic, and she knew how to make the best fried chicken. Of course, Crisco was used back then,
Yeah.
which we don't touch today, hopefully. But it was just, amazing Southern cooking that I developed a, a taste for, and a lot of fresh ingredients. We had a next door neighbor that was Italian. I used to steal his plum tomatoes and put kosher salt on it and sell lemonade to the golfers behind us at the golf course. And was an early entrepreneur, and being a baby dinosaur back then. I remember being in the kitchen, and we had an electric stove back then, and I put my hand on the electric stove, and my housekeeper, Josephine, dragged me across the kitchen floor and put it in baking soda and pretty much saved my
Oh
hand.
my goodness.
I jokingly say my hand is still okay, which it is, but I always endured and enjoyed being in the heat of the kitchen. And it's ironic, just to speed it up a little bit, 85 to 90% of the grads at the Culinary Institute end up in the front of the house because they can't handle the heat in the kitchen.
Mm,
No pun intended. So
yeah.
my mom used to take me on grocery sprees, and I would be in the shopping cart, and I remember reaching out and touching produce and learning how to feel things and smell things and discover what was ripe, what wasn't ripe, and I just became immersed in that culture, and I just love being outdoors. And my background is horticulture, so they always say I have a green thumb. and I just, love the plant life. And to speed it up, I was a starving actor at the Strasberg Theater Institute in New York for 12 years and worked alongside, many, many famous actors. And I expected the phone to ring and be discovered. That's how arrogant I was at that time. And my real life, the only way to supplement my tuition was to work and moonlight as a glorified cocktail waiter. I don't know if you remember Chelsea Place down in New York City, but I worked there, which
Okay.
was a speakeasy, and we had, all sorts of great musicians come in unannounced. And I just love the food business. And on the weekends, Kristen, I would do these little gourmet parties and invite my friends over. And for a year, they kept saying to me, "You're really good at this. You should do this for a living." And I'm like, "No, I'm not that." And so I finally listened to them and got out of the acting business, which taught me a lot of people skills.
Yeah.
And I think in the hospitality business, it's important to have people skills because you're dealing with your patrons that have different palates and different
Yes.
metabolism and different backgrounds and different cultures. And you have to address this. It's very
Mhm.
important. Dietary needs today is a huge factor. And that's how I got involved in saving up a tremendous amount of money by working 3 jobs for 5 years and put a down payment on a dilapidated 200-year-old farmhouse in the
Mhm.
Berkshires. I call it the Berkshires, which was an amazing area, and I turned this place that was falling down in 6 months, knowing everyone said I couldn't do it, kinda like Walt Disney when he asked his friends, should he build an entertainment center in a marsh? They said no. So
Yeah.
I knew it was a good idea as well
Mhm.
to pursue it. So when you get an A on your report card, there's no room for a B or C. And when you're getting 4 stars in a restaurant, you have to maintain that level of expectation. People would come in and want it to be just perfect. So I was a little stressed out, and on my days off, I would mow the grass. We had almost an acre of land and a 30 by 70 organic garden right at the restaurant, which was handpicked and not out of a can. So we had really amazing foods. Continental cuisine, it was fine dining where you took human bites and you sat down and you know, waited for certain courses to come out, and it wasn't, being on your phone and texting someone past the salt. It was definitely, fine dining where you took human bites and you enjoyed your meal. And it was an hour and a half, 2-hour affair. I remember having artichokes on as an appetizer,
Mm.
and it took people a half hour to 45 minutes to eat them. So I took them off because I played classical music. I'd play William Tell Overture to kind of speed up them
Nice.
them digesting so I could turn the table. But getting back to the restaurant, I was mowing my grass one day and I didn't know it for about a year and a half. I didn't have any symptoms or signs of infection or anything. I got bit by a tick and I got Lyme disease,
Mm.
and I basically was losing my short-term memory. My spine was affected. My voice was affected. My palate was changed. It was like almost the same thing as COVID when COVID came out.
Yeah.
People losing their taste buds, and so
Crazy.
I went through the whole gamut of, antibiotics, Kristen,
Mm.
and I was pretty much a guinea pig because they didn't know much about how to treat Lyme disease at that time, and being we were close to Lyme, Connecticut, where it was first founded by, deer tick,
Right.
I my intestinal flora was destroyed by the antibiotics.
Mm.
I wasn't assimilating any nutrients, any proteins, any enzymes, and I was down to 95 pounds, and I was praying in my own privacy that something would come along. I didn't know what it was, and it was like a God-sent angel of an alternative doctor from Europe that turned me on to a rhizome, and if the audience doesn't know, rhizome is plant root derives. Best way I could describe is ginger
Okay.
is, a root derived root vegetable, and
Mhm.
he created a tincture for me, and I was, being an old hippie, I could understand, drops and all sorts of things back then,
Yeah.
that we won't get into on this conversation. But I put the tincture under my tongue, sublingual, and held it for 45 seconds and couldn't eat 45 minutes before or after. I'm taking this and my cells rejuvenated in less than 6 months because what I realized, the pure oils that he created, the botanicals, went into the cell, didn't encapsulate the outside of the cell. Like when you get the flu, what does the doctor tell you? To go home and rest. And so this was, life changing. And to speed it up, years passed. I went to a farmer's market, ran into some really cool people, and they knew I was a chef in the area because I had done a lot of private events. And they said to me, Chef Craig, have you ever heard of essential oils? And I'm like, yeah, patchouli, all the hippies wore, and
Yeah. I love all those.
you know,
Sandalwood.
right, the incense and all that sort of stuff. And she goes, "No, you can cook with these." And I went, "What?" And she
Nice.
said, she said, "Yeah, they're certified, pure, tested grade oils that are organic and indigenous and 50 to 70 times the strength of herbs." I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So she had the wild orange. She put it in my hand, told me to get some heat and capsulate and aromatically breathe that in. So topically, I was absorbing it, and aromatically, I was
Mm.
absorbing it. And the wild orange, which is derived from Brazil, which is the rind and the pith, not the pulp where the acid comes from. One drop was 5 oranges. So I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
so I'm thinking because of profit and loss and shrink, in the restaurant business, of course, shrink's your biggest enemy.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, 6 cents versus 80 cents for an orange. I could save some money and make a difference. Well, I didn't know it was for anxiety. So I always joke that I'm the only one that doesn't get anxiety, BS. Everyone has a different level of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so when I permeated it into my chocolate Belgian bark that I did for
Mm.
dessert with Bing cherries, that's for inflammation. And I served that with when I gave people the check for their dinner. That was always memorable. Like,
Yeah.
wow, did you get that chocolate bark? But now that it had the wild orange in it, people are coming like back to me saying, "What'd you put in there? I slept so
Yeah.
good last night.
That's awesome.
I had the best digestion. I'm not anxious." I'm like, this stuff is off the chain.
Mm.
So then I realized I needed to not keep this a secret because back then, chefs like us from the Culinary Institute didn't dare share any recipes with anyone. We held on to everything. And
Yeah.
today in the movement of paying it forward, it's my gift and my calling to be able to share this with other chefs and other households to, help with allergies. Georgia, God bless this state. It's a beautiful state, but we have pollen all year long.
Lived in Atlanta, and I remember when I first moved there, I had a white car, and it was covered in yellow pollen. I'm like, "What is this?" Like, I'm from New York, and I'm like, "What is
Right,
this yellow pollen?" And it
right.
was all those dogwood trees that are beautiful, but, like, oh my god, it was a whole layer of
So
yellow.
so congestion, sinus pressure, throat tickling like yours is right
That's
now.
what I need. I know. You need to
You're
send me
cough
one of your
So the lavender,
tinctures.
which we used to get from Paris, from France, we decided to investigate it in Bulgaria because the Black Sea abuts the shoreline. The mineralization that goes into the soil from the sea permeates the plant, and it's like the best lavender in the world.
Mm,
And lavender is a natural antihistamine. So when we moved to Georgia, we have 5 diffusers because we have 3 dogs, an awesome
yeah.
mini bull mastiff and a Labrador. And when they're all rescues, and so when the thunder and lightning storms come, they're like freaking out. So
Mm.
I put lavender in one of the diffusers, and now they kind of like just walk around, do 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 do.
Yeah,
And
I love lavender.
yeah, it's just
Mm.
amazing. And where I work for a very high-end retirement home. We do about 300 meals a day. And of course, you're prone to burning yourself. So a lot of chefs come up to me, "Do you have any of that lavender on you, Chef Craig?" And I put it on there. They don't even blister.
That's amazing.
I'm talking third degree burns. So, topically, aromatically, and then taking it to the next level, which is infused cuisine. This is the way to go. I'm looking for my cookbook, which
Yes,
will
recipes of hope.
yeah, and hit Amazon bestseller list. And underneath here it says not your average cookbook, and it's not because I could have, Kristen, written a cookbook with just regular recipes, when I say regular recipes, stuff that is gourmet level, that is non-intimidating because my recipes are a paragraph thick and the font's really large for people like you and me that can't well, I
I
can't
can
see.
see, but I
Right,
have trouble reading fine print.
right. So, there's stories in there, make you laugh and cry. There's scripture in there because food is medicine and it's mentioned in the Bible so many times. Oils, like frankincense, when baby Jesus was around, frankincense, Latin word for frankincense is boswellia. So if you see
Mm,
MSM, chondroitin, and boswellia, that's for
yes.
your ligaments, your joints, your tendons. And so it's frankincense we get from Somalia. We have to go in with armed guards because the government is so ridiculously crazy. And
Yeah.
when we tap the trees, you have to tap them just right because the oils come from the stem, the bark, the nettles, the root, the leaves, the flowers, the resin, and the frankincense is resin derived. And so it's very, very thick. And when we diffuse it, it's cell rejuvenation. So
Yeah.
people that have brain trauma, people that have skin problems, I always say, what's the largest organ on our body? Our skin. So
Right.
when you're diffusing this, let alone eating it and topically putting it on because it goes into your bloodstream in less than 3 minutes. That's how crazy this stuff is. So
Yeah.
when I partnered up with doTERRA, which is Latin word for gift of the earth, and they are a debt-free, multi-billion-dollar business that procures and co-impacts with the farms and farmers and builds irrigation systems in churches and schools. And we protect against trafficking because when the parents are in the field, that's when the kids are very susceptible to being kidnapped. So we do more than just procure and source the oils. We want them to be happy because the old saying is when you're happy, I'm happy. And so I am just so blessed to be able to have part of this whole transformation. And, remember Galloping Gourmet?
Yes.
Back in the day,
Way back. I never saw him, but I know who he is. He's
well,
like the first food
yeah,
influencer writer.
the healthy food, and back
Right.
then, everything tasted like sawdust and cardboard. Well, healthy foods come a long way
Yeah.
today, and there's a lot of glucose intolerant people, there's a lot of, lactose intolerant people, peanut allergies.
Mhm.
You never heard of this when we were growing up.
I
When I was
know.
Kristen, when I was
It's like,
born
what is going on? Is it all the chemicals that we're consuming and pesticides?
You're reading my mind.
I mean,
When I was born in '54, I'm actually 170 years old. I'm very well preserved from the oils.
nice.
All kidding aside, when I was born in '54, there were 500 chemicals in foods. There's 15,000
I
plus
know.
chemicals in foods today.
It's
And,
crazy.
like I bought some really good bread from a local grocery store that I patronize, and my wife Elizabeth sends me a picture of the small print in the back of the ingredients saying biogenetically modified. And I'm like,
Why?
what is going on this
I
planet?
know.
You know, and so food is so adulterated and we can be so careful. We can be like Howard Hughes in hazmat outfits walking around, and your body does need to build certain tolerance to certain things. But we have to really, if you do cheat, and I admit I cheat just like everybody else. I don't have the bag of Dorito chips scotch taped under my bed, but I
Mhm.
do cheat. And when I do cheat, I give myself permission to rejuvenate, to revitalize, to
Right.
use supplementation so that I don't beat myself up and get headaches and depressed and anxiety and all that sort of stuff. So what I do is I take it to the next level and I permeate my foods. That's where infused cuisine came in. And I add these oils that are again 50 to 70 times the strength of herbs and that
Yeah.
are above organic. Yes, the question you're asking me is that do I still use herbs in my cooking? Of course, because I want the presentation. I want that accentuation, but the oils just make it pop. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, you want to hear a quick funny story?
Sure.
Okay, I had a Latino organization in my business, and they make the best food, the best Mexican food, the best Guatemalan food, the best South African American food. And I went to Dollar Tree and I bought a jar of salsa and I had the cilantro oil, pure cilantro oil. And I didn't tell them I went to Dollar Tree, and I had a bag of good chips and I had the salsa to taste first without the cilantro oil added to it. And then I added it to it and they were like, Gringo, this is the best. Oh, this is the
Ringo.
best sauce I ever had in my life. And I showed them and I told them where I bought it. They say, you're a liar. They
Really?
they call me li and so what they
Okay.
realized was the distinction because they understand culantro, which is the hybrid of cilantro. If you've ever seen it, it's kinda
Yes.
spiny. It's
We used
just
to shoot it
uh,
at HEB, like, we
it
did all of their produce shoots.
cool.
So,
So it's
yeah,
hugely aromatic,
huge. Yeah.
usually powerful, kinda like the oils. I mean, if you've ever rubbed rosemary together or thyme,
Mm,
and that's the oil coming off of the plant.
mhm.
So we take this much basil to make 1 milliliter of 15 milliliters, which is 250 drops.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
you know what's so cool? I'm getting goosebumps talking to you. We created a culinary conversion chart
Cool.
that is up to
So
100
it'll tell you, like, how many cups of broccoli you're eating in this drop, or whatever, cilantro.
and how much money you're saving
That's awesome.
and how much therapeutic benefits it has.
And now with all the produce outbreaks, people are scared to buy fresh produce, right?
I'm glad you reminded me because
Like, that's a good selling point for you. Honestly, people are scared to even eat the frozen stuff too, right? All the berries at Whole
so
Foods. I
so
mean, come
check
on.
right, so Kristen, you're so
My
onto it.
God.
You're so onto it, and I love, being a shaker and a mover, and
Yes.
I believe we have the vehicle, and I always say, you could have the best vehicle to go to California in a Mercedes 500. If you're trying to get to Hawaii, good luck because your car is gonna sink. And why do you have a spare tire in your trunk? Just in case. I have a spare tire in my kitchen
Yep.
just in case because
Yep.
we don't know when the next outbreak's gonna be,
We
and we
don't.
can only be so careful. So and we have to eat. I
I
mean,
know.
my
I mean, my
dad's
mom actually bought a bunch of these water bottles. Apparently, I don't know where she got them, but she got them for like the whole family. You can basically get water from a stream or a lake or anything, and it filters everything out in case of an emergency. We
right.
live right near Lake Ontario. Well, I'm here right now. There's a lot of water in there. So if anything happened, right,
Are
all
you
these water towers are blowing up
right.
and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I'll find out where
I
she got them and let you
I
know. But I'm
I wanna
excited to try it because
I wanna know
you
if
don't
you're
know, it's
reading.
kinda scary times
No.
right now.
But you know what? So weird. This is just a serendipity. It's like you're reading my mind because
Mm,
when I ask people have they been to Europe, and I'm sure you've been to
I
Europe,
have.
is what's the pizza like in Italy?
Haven't been to Italy. I've been to
Okay.
Paris and
Okay. So
Amsterdam and London.
what's the pastry like in Italy? I mean, in France.
Amazing. I
Okay.
mean,
So the pasta in Italy is amazing. How's the coffee in Paris, in France?
delicious.
Okay, so all the ingredients seem to be better in Europe,
Yes.
not to plagiarize, but New York is a port, and the water from the Adirondacks comes in to permeate, and that's the bagels are better in New York.
Yes, they are.
Have a bagel in Florida, and I love Florida, but bagels in Florida are
I
just
know, I think that you know what? I used to live in St. Pete. I think there's 2 guys that are from New York, and they ship their water down. I'll have to get the name of it. But
okay,
they
did
do. They ship their water down to make their bagels because that's
you
how
so
special it is.
So all you listeners and followers, thank you, by the way. But Christian just made an extremely powerful point. It's the benefits of the water composition that makes all the difference in your cooking. And that's the one of the biggest ingredients that we cook with
Mhm.
is water. And everyone makes fun of me because of my accent, water in the draw. But, if I have a beer in the South, my Southern twang comes back. But, we're really on to this. And the thing that after we do the conversion chart is we have an executive takeaway. And essential oils belong in your operation. What is the proof? Operational excellence, elevated wellness for staff and residents and patrons. And then we go to digestive comfort, precision and scalability, strategic advantage, your next steps. We guide you through the journey to fortify yourself. So it's one of my favorite words that today is to fortify, to protect yourself, to put your armor on, to be able to resist pathogens, resist what the breakouts are. And so my cookbook, Infused Cuisine, which I think I left in the chat box, my website that you can go to, and my email so you can get in touch with me. But Kristen, you know, hopefully I'll get to be on again in the future with you and share, some of this conversion so people can see, because knowledge is power. And,
Yeah.
I always say when there's power, when there's a hope in the future, there's power in the present. And you can make changes, minuscule little changes. Ken Griffey, who used to play for Seattle Mariners, 20 something $1 million a year, had a batting coach, a manager, a pitching coach, all sorts of coaches. Nika said, "Hey, listen, I make enough money. I don't need to listen to any of you guys." They said, "Turn your foot out a quarter of an inch at the batting box, just a quarter of an inch." You know what a quarter of an inch is.
Yep.
His batting average went up 200%. So change your food preparation and fusion a quarter of an inch, and you
Right.
can make and fortify yourselves and help your families. So quick story, so you don't make this mistake and rush out to the local store and go to the health and beauty aisle and get
Yeah.
essential oils
I
for
was gonna
cooking.
ask you about the essential oils. What's the difference between the
Okay.
culinary grade and the stuff you buy at GNC or on the shelf? Because
Okay.
yeah, you
So
don't want people eating stuff that
no,
you put on your lamp diffuser.
that's why we have disclosures.
Yes.
So when you read the bottle, when you go to those stores that Christian just mentioned, it'll say in small print, not for eternal use,
Mhm.
not for internal use. It's been adulterated with perfume or alcohol. And so the best way I describe this is, being that Kristen's gone to France, she'll appreciate this, is that when you put on pure perfume, Rodriguez, it lasts for hours. But
It does.
when you put on eau de toilette, about a
It
half
lasts
hour,
5 seconds.
right? It's gone.
It's like
So
the juicy fruit gum. Like, what happened?
right,
Where
exactly.
did it
Thank
last in
you.
5 seconds? Yeah.
Thank you. Or doublemint chewing gum. It's
You
a
know?
breath mint. It's a candy mint.
Yeah.
Right. But this is pure. And
Yeah.
there's serial number on the bottom that you can go to sourceu.com and you can track when it was procured, who procured it, the testing on it, because it's
Mm.
third party tested. So it's not the Craig show. I am just a messenger. I'm just a conduit to help you fortify yourself and your family and your loved ones and make a difference. All you restaurateurs, all you chefs, all you, high-end chefs, and I admire you because I went to the Culinary Institute at Hyde Park back in the day when they chased you with meat cleavers. Today, they give you can't do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
But I, I'm excited because Bourdain's movie's coming out soon.
I heard it's supposed to
Yeah,
be amazing. I
yeah,
I can't wait.
and the new Bear is out. I'm sure that's
I love
that's
that show.
that's a handful. You know, I'm a settled down, passionate chef. I used to have a huge ego when I had my restaurant, and after getting Lyme disease, I was very humbled and thankful that God gave me another branch, and now I'm able to share with other people. And just get the right information. I hope that I've made a difference in your thinking today and opened up the possibility. And, I'm happy to help you because my first experiment that I wanted to share with you, when I had been introduced to the oils, I was at a church dinner that I was donating for 250 people. And I had the oregano oil and I was putting in a 15-gallon pot like this. And I went to taste it. It was putrid. It was so it was so bad and
Oh,
so off that I had to throw it away. So what I learned is less is more. So we've invested in droppers that attach to the bottle so you can get the exact amount that we recommend. And this
okay.
was years of research. The cookbook was 20 years in development. COVID came and, COVID stopped a lot of stuff. And
Hmm.
I'm not blaming COVID because I was finally encouraged by my beautiful wife, Elizabeth, that's a certified national bereavement and grief coach. So Elizabeth works with people who've had loss, and I do the healing foods. What component was missing for me was the educational part. What component was missing for her was a nutritional part. We joined
Yeah.
forces and we worked together, and we would love to be able to share our knowledge and wisdom with being able, because when you're grieving, you're binging and
Right.
you're eating the worst crap.
Right. You know what? I actually lost my dad a year and a half ago.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that was really hard. I mean, that's part of the reason I'm up here with my mom in upstate New York right now, helping her because they were married 60 years and
Wow.
she's alone now. And, but 3 weeks prior, it was in 2025, I lost my beautiful Persian cat, Nemo, of 17 years. And he died in my arms on the floor. And 6 months after my dad died, there was a bunch of layoffs at our company and I lost my full time food styling job with HEB.
Three
And
lost.
oh my god, like a whole year of loss within 6 months. So, I totally get it and all the emotions you go through, and I think if anything, I probably did the opposite and stopped eating. I've lost like 40 or 50 pounds in the past 2 years. It's just too much, you know what I mean? So, I think, yeah, the power of eating well and healing, and actually that's why I started the Artful Gourmet podcast last year. My first 21 episodes were just me. And, I started this unfiltered because I wanted to get other people involved and start talking with other people.
Yes.
But part of that healing process was looking inside and going, okay, this all just ended. Now what? And it was time to start focusing on me and eating healthy and getting my message out there. So I think what you're doing is amazing. And I'd
Thank you.
actually love to read your cookbook. And maybe next time I have you on, you could cook a recipe or something and show us how to
Thing,
use
we have
the
a full
oil in the cooking. I think that would
yeah,
be really fun, like
and
a
and
live cooking demo or something.
and I'll show you how a carrier oil, because you don't wanna just put the pure oil in one spot because, you
Right.
need to disperse and you need to penetrate it equally. So you use a carrier oil, and I use fractionated coconut oil, which is like
Mm.
ghee. The fat's been cooked out so that it's easy to be absorbed, or I'll use avocado oil or a good EVOO that has, 675 polyphenols. So your smoke point's 425, so you don't lose the properties. So, I've educated myself and learned all this stuff through trial and error. And now I'm able to pay it forward and share with the audiences and your restaurateurs, your customers. And,
Yeah.
we've created this, we've tasted it, we've moved it, and now we're shaking it up in the world out there. And I think what you're doing is just so amazing on the Artful Gourmet podcast. It was an honor for me to be on with you
Thank
today.
you. Thank you
And
for being here.
looking forward to our next live cooking demonstration.
Yeah, I wanna do that. You know what? I've got a Substack, Artful Gourmet Substack. I don't know if you're on there, but maybe we can do a live demo on there. So it's instead of a recorded podcast, it's a live. We can
Okay.
schedule it and we could cook together and continue the conversation. Maybe you can send me your basil oil or something fun and
Absolutely.
we could cook together.
I'll send you a little keychain that
Okay.
has little drams in it. And
Okay.
you have to tap the back of the dram because the orifice kind of controls how much comes out, because
Okay.
we want people to be careful. And I'll send you a cookbook.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I'll send you a
And we could
cookbook.
cook together, a recipe, or you can cook and we can talk through it. And
I love it. I love it.
do you make cocktails with your tinctures or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Because that's another thing I love is kind of pairing food and cocktails and
And guess
wine
what?
and things like
And
that together.
and guess thank you. And that sounds like a good idea. And guess what Elizabeth bought me for last Christmas?
What?
A gelato maker.
Oh, fun.
And so
That's
I
great.
made a lavender Bing cherry gelato with
Okay.
goat's cheese.
Nice.
That was just crazy. I did a cinnamon bark. I did a We have a supermint with spearmint and wintergreen and peppermint in it that is just
Mm.
off the chain. And if you ever get migraines, you just take the peppermint oil, put it on your temples, the
Yeah.
base of your skull, your wrists, and
I can't wait to try. I love essential oils. I mean, I have a whole set of them, but they're not culinary grade.
Right.
Obviously, they're for my diffuser. So I'm familiar with the whole carrier oil thing and breathing it in. I love lavender and sandalwood, vanilla, and patchouli. Those are like
Yes.
my four faves. They're for more like relaxing. I don't know if you could cook with those so much, but maybe the lavender.
The
But
lav the lavender in our business, you can, the cinnamon, you can. There's about 18 oils, and it when I have a QR code on my cookbook, and if
okay,
you go there, that'll take you to all the spots,
cool.
and they're right there for you. So you
Yeah.
got that. And, there's also in the cookbook, Kristen, check it out, with the way technology's changed, there's QR codes that take you to tutorials with videos on showing you
Nice.
how to permeate.
Love it. I love it. So do you have a YouTube channel as well or
Yes, and
just a web?
I'm gonna send that to you because we just did the promo for it
Okay.
yesterday, and I was like, "Elizabeth, you are just amazing," and she's very humble and doesn't take credit where credit's deserved.
Oh, well, it's nice
So
to have a partner that helps you with your stuff, so you guys
yeah,
can help each other.
and so I'm gonna send you that promo. You're the first to get it. You're the
Okay.
first you're also the first podcaster that got the information on the conversion chart and
Okay.
the executive takeaway, and the timing couldn't be better. This was just so amazing today, and I'm deeply grateful for
Yes.
meeting you, and I look forward to our future together.
Yeah, me too. And what I'll do for the audience that's listening, he's going to send me all of his links and all that good stuff. I'm going to do the show notes so that when we post the actual podcast, read the description. There'll be links and all that kind of stuff. And if you have questions, feel free to make comments on the podcast. It's going to be on Substack, YouTube, Spotify, all the places. You can leave comments and we can have conversations. And I'll put his email on there and website and all that. So if you have questions, they can reach out to you directly and then we can follow up with another live cooking demo on Substack. That would be really fun. So
Christian, I have an idea, and I hope this is okay to ask.
sure.
Maybe what do you think of your input of when we do the live cooking demo? We send the ingredients for this dish, and that people can cook along with us.
I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great idea.
Awesome,
And we could, yeah, have it be a 30 to 45-minute session. Maybe we can talk about it a little more offline, how you want to do it. I mean, it could be
So-
a
something in
food and
depth.
cocktail pairing, or it could be, whatever you want. Well, we can talk about it. And I'd love to see the cookbook and we can.
Yeah, and I have an idea about loyalty with people that are joining us.
Okay.
The information that they're getting is valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause maybe we can offer some kind of a little
Mem-
discount or some kind,
yeah,
we can
membership.
talk offline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Membership. Yes. I love it. I think it's a great idea. And I'm so intrigued because I really, really love cooking and food, obviously being a food stylist and photographer, but I love essential oils and I love what you're doing, infusing it into food. I've just never heard of that before. So it's
Yeah,
definitely a mover and a shaker and a tastemaker kind of thing that you're doing. So thank you so much, Chef. And I look forward to our next conversation and
excellent,
trying everything out and reading your cookbook. And like I said, guys, I'll be posting everything below. So feel free to leave a comment or reach out if you have questions or whatever. And we'll post more details about the next live cooking demo coming up, hopefully soon.
excellent.
All
Thank
right.
you, thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Chef.
Thank you,
Talk to you
Kristen.
soon.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
So, what I keep coming back to after this conversation is the idea that our relationship with food never really stops evolving. We often talk about a chef's career in terms of restaurants, awards, clients, and perfect plates. But sometimes the most interesting part of a creative career happens when someone starts asking a different question. What can I do with everything I've learned? For Craig, that question eventually became Infused Cuisine and Recipes of Hope. His belief that cooking can become a vehicle not only for flavor, but connection, intention, and well being. So, whether or not you cooked with essential oils or ever plan to, I think there's a bigger idea here. Food has always been more than fuel, it's memory, culture, it's creativity, it's comfort, it's connection, and sometimes it's hope. So, thank you for joining me for another episode of Unfiltered on the Artful Gourmet podcast. If today's conversation made you think differently about food, creativity, or your own relationship with cooking, please share this episode with someone who might enjoy it too. And I'd love to hear what you think. Can the food we cook change more than the way we eat it? Can it actually change the way we live? Leave a comment in the comments below and please join the conversation. And if you're enjoying this podcast, Unfiltered, please like, share, subscribe, follow, and rate the podcast. All those little clicks make a huge difference in helping more people discover these conversations and help the show grow. You can follow the Artful Gourmet podcast on Spotify and Substack and YouTube, as well as all the other major podcast platforms. You can watch the video interviews on YouTube and Substack and Spotify. And I also usually do a essay or a blog post with all the links, the stories, the recipes, behind the scenes content, and companion essays inspired by the people and ideas that we explore here on the podcast. I'm Kristen Hess, and this is Unfiltered. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep bringing something meaningful to the table. Thank you so much for joining me on Unfiltered today, part of the Artful Gourmet podcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd share it with a friend, leave a rating or review, and make sure you're following the podcast so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Your support helps these conversations reach more listeners who are passionate about creativity, culture, and meaningful work. I'm Kristen Hess, and I'll see you next time for another great conversation right here on Unfiltered on the Artful Gourmet podcast. And remember, stay curious, stay creative, and keep living life a little unfiltered.